Hello, good people. How
Hello?
we doing? Hi, Red.
How are you? How's everyone?
We're all good. I think I'm a little.
We're good. I'm good.
John got music in the background, and we know we good.
Oh,
Hey, Patricia, Russell. All right, we coming in. Ricardo, new member.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Leroy, what's up? We have Dr. Kristy in the house. We don't see Dr. Kristy. Should we move Dr. Kristy to panelist? Top says your hair blue. I heard it was blue.
Yes, blue. Yes, blue.
Hey, Jeremy.
I got called a Smurf a couple of
How we
times.
doing, everybody?
You got called Smurf.
Yeah,
It looks nice, Natasha.
thanks.
I got to see it live. Whoa, what happened? Was that me or you? Because everything just went blank for a minute.
That's you.
That's me? All right,
Yeah.
so Rev, you may have to take over if we go out. That's not good. Oh. Anyway, we have quorum or we still need a few more? One more?
I'm just counting now.
Yeah, my computer's acting really funny. Leroy started school? So Dr. Kristy, Leroy is a teacher as well. We've known each other for, I don't know, 30 years now, working since the 90s with Children's Aid in different capacities.
Okay, we do have quorum.
Oh, good. So welcome, everybody. I'm just kind of, oh, I see what happened on me. You know, technology with these two screens, it really helps to have your agenda on one screen and everything else on the other screen. So welcome, everybody, to our new year of CB11. We have some nice new committee members that have joined us since the spring, and we're looking forward to them challenging us as a youth and education committee to continue to evolve. And I'm looking forward to working again with Dr. Kristy, our D4 superintendent. That's really been she's like all over the place. I saw her, what, 2-3 different schools yesterday as we're making our rounds. And also working with the CECs that are both in our district, both CEC 5 and CEC 4, and serving the kids of the East Harlem community. So again, I want to welcome everybody, welcome new members. We do need to go over the ground rules, right? In this meeting, Carly's my boss, so she directs me in the best ways to go with all of this stuff. So ground rules are, you know, basically no one should call or speak from the floor unless, you know, raise their hand or attention is called to them. What else, Carly? I couldn't pull it up on the thing because that screen went out. As much as technology.
Okay, I'll read it. I'll read it. Okay, just to make your life easier. Okay, no one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to me. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you're having or to state in writing information, like an email address that was already stated out loud on the record during the meeting. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or a comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. Let me know if you want me to go ahead and do the roll call now.
Please do the roll call. I know
Okay,
we have a lot of new members.
yes. Leroy Andino,
Present.
Yolanda Brown,
Present.
Dundell,
Present.
Giordano,
Present.
Green,
Here.
Harvey, Heredia, Martin,
I haven't heard.
Present.
I'm sorry, what was,
Patricia. Yeah. Patricia's here.
okay, can you
I'm sorry,
say,
yeah, present.
thank you.
Bye, yeah.
Robinson Teague, Rodriguez,
Present.
Scott, Schuler,
Present.
and Wu. Okay, you have quorum.
So again, I want to thank all new members and our public and everybody for joining us. We do need to do an adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Oh, we do both of them together, right? The minutes?
And the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it passes if no one objects, basically. You don't need to do the vote.
Okay. So as I hope everybody's had a moment to review the minutes from June. I want to thank Angela. Just to remind new members that as we do the minutes for these meetings, we are going in alphabetical order. So Leroy, although you probably always start first, we left off last year with Donadell, D, and I am the next one is G. So I will do it and we will get you somewhere in the next few months. So I will be responsible for doing the minutes. If there are any objections to the June minutes, please say so. If not, we can continue in a motion to approve. With
Motion
seeing,
to approve.
motion to approve. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Okay, so we can move on from that. So again, and just welcoming everybody, I am really looking forward to a new year. I do want to welcome new members and also some of our regular members back to attending this meeting. I kind of wanted to start with some of the new members and old members and maybe giving a 3 to 6 minute memoir of why you joined the community board or maybe a sentence. And I'll start with me and we could just kind of throw it out there. And then as new members join us in today late or next week, we're going to get them. So they're not going to escape this kind of little, icebreaker. So for me, committed to making the lives in the community better, particularly children. Leroy, we'll go with you just because I see you smiling.
Okay, first I want to say that I'm a proud teacher of District 4. This is my 25th year in service, and just so proud to be part of this district. And thank you, Superintendent, for joining us this evening. Prior to me teaching, I've been part of great organizations like the Children's Aid Society and Stanley Isaacs, and I just always wanted to make a change. And having leaders like David in the past, it's just like he's a great role model and mentor. So I just wanted to follow up with this and continue the journey of making change for our community. Thank you.
Continue the journey of making change. Go ahead, Leroy. John, why don't you go ahead? Or you know what, Leroy, next time. John, you go ahead and then you pass it to somebody else so that it's not me calling out names.
Okay. I'm John Green. This is my 8th year on the community board. And I joined because I was a budget delegate for Muslim Viverito, and I did it for 2 years. And at her suggestion, says, "Why don't you join the community board?" And I joined it. I've enjoyed it. I've met a lot of good people on the board, and I joined because I got something out of serving the community in some small way, and that's really the main reason why I joined the community board. And then I'm going to pass this on to Reverend Brown.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, yeah, good evening. Yes, my name is Yolanda Brown. I am ordained minister of the Church of Jesus Christ, and I live in Harlem now for 18 years. I'm a Brooklynite and proud of that. And given the fact that I live here and worked here, I felt it was necessary. My mandate is go beyond the walls, because my mandate's been given to seek the welfare of the city. And I know that only can happen if the well-being of the people are taken care of. So it was necessary that I be more actively engaged in advocacy. I came through the works of Community versus Heard. We were very active in community during the East Harlem rezoning. And as a result of that, I began opening up to other possibilities. And I was encouraged by God to apply for the community board, and Gail also, our honorable borough president, encouraged it also. So here am I, this is my third term, so I'm coming into 6 years. And I look forward to just making a difference. I come with a lens where everybody's equal. I come with a lens for social and political justice, and I'm here to serve.
Who are you passing to, Red?
I'm going to pass it to Angela.
See, my psychic brain said she's going to pass it to me. So hello, Angela Donadell. I've lived in East Harlem for approximately 44 years. I became involved in things because I have a child with autism, which led me down a path of advocacy that I would not have expected in my life. And I was encouraged to join the community board, but I'm truly interested in making changes and differences in the lives of children, more specifically, children with alternate abilities. I have a passion for children with alternate abilities.
Nice friend.
I'm gonna pass to, let's see, Natasha, your screen opened up, so it's on you, girl.
I'm sorry, I cut out for a minute because my internet stopped working. But hello, I'm Natasha Rodriguez. I am a senior in high school. And the reason why I joined the board is because I went to a couple of meetings when I was younger for overall just community advocacy stuff. And also I am a special ed student who is a lot of the time that it's a little bit hard for some of us to have a voice in what's happening. So I want to be able to talk about stuff.
Who are you passing to?
I don't know who went. I know all I heard was Angela and Reverend Brown.
Go to Patricia.
Oh, all right.
Thanks a lot, Angela. Thanks
You're
a lot.
Oh,
You're
Patricia,
very welcome, Patricia.
Well, my name is Pat Martin, and I joined because you gotta be in it, or otherwise you have no right to say anything about it. So I joined because I like to work and I like to make a difference wherever and whenever I can. And I'm really an advocate for our young people. So I figured by joining the Youth and Education Committee, I can work with people like Leroy Andino, whom I've known for many years.
Wow.
And we can make some stuff happen here.
Yep.
And I pass it on to Pastor Scott.
Hello?
We hear you.
Okay, sorry, somebody just called me, so you called my name. Isaac Scott, just in short, I joined the board. I do a lot of work at the intersection of art and justice and really raising awareness around issues related to the criminal justice system. I direct a program at the Center for Justice and at the Columbia Law School. And I honestly joined the community board because I wanted to hear more from community members about the different issues. Narratives can be one-sided a lot, and I wanted to be able to hear sort of a holistic view of what was going on in the community. So that was why I joined the community board, but also as I gain this information, I'm able to see where a lot of the sort of public program and community-based work that I do can sort of serve the community. So that's a lot of why I joined or a little bit rather, why I joined the community board. And I joined this committee specifically because I felt like just as a troubled youth, as a youth offender, I felt like I could contribute a lot here as an adult. I also know Dave from back in the Children's Aid Society. He was actually like one of the counselors at our at the center in Douglas. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm gonna pass it over to Jason Wu.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Jason Wu. I've been on the community board since 2018, and I joined the community board. I live in the community. I work in the community. For my day job, I'm currently the attorney in charge of the Harlem Community Law Office of Legal Aid. And our office used to be located in East Harlem, and now it's in Central Harlem. But I work a lot in the local community and in Upper Manhattan more generally. And so there's been a lot of changes to New York City with gentrification, including in our district. And so that was a big reason why I wanted to get involved with the community board, since many of the decisions and issues impacting our communities are being debated and decided at the local level. And so I'm happy to be here, to be part of this community board where we fight and advocate for our communities, for resources and issues and priorities that impact our community.
Thank you.
So I came in a little bit late and I don't know who hasn't gone yet.
Ricardo hasn't gone, Russell hasn't gone, and Carly hasn't gone.
Okay.
And yeah.
I'll pass it to Ricardo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome.
Can you see me? Yeah, right? Okay, great. My name is Ricardo. I'm here because I just recently joined Youth Build organization, and I'm in charge of their developing out their outreach, and I'm also going to be developing their culinary programming. So the reason why I'm here is because I'm doing outreach for the community for youth between 17 and 24. And, you know, I'm also very involved with different communities throughout the city. My personal goal, besides what I do with Youth Build, is to develop the cohesion in communities and to help build out equity and resiliency. Thank you.
Pass it to Ricardo.
Who is there else to pass it to? I'm sorry.
Like we also have Xavier. We don't want to leave out Jeremy or Dr. Kristy because they're also our regular members that attend with us as well. And we like to know why y'all come every month as well. So
then I'll pick Dr. Kristy, not to leave anybody out.
Thank you. Well, really, and I don't want to be like redundant, but for me, it's really, it's an honor to serve the D4 community. And it's, I just think that a part of honoring the community that I serve, it's important for me to listen to the voices, the different perspectives, and to just be a partner. I'm a big believer in critical love, as Dr. Yolanda Ruiz defines as this profound ethical commitment in the community that we serve. And so that's, I humbly serve the community. And so it's just really important for me to attend these meetings, to share my perspective and also to listen and to learn from each one of you. And I just want to say thank you for including me. It's such an honor to be in community with you. So thank you.
thank you, Dr. We have Russell. Why don't we go with Russell? I'll just call it out. So, and then we'll go to Jeremy, and then we'll go to Xavier, just so we keep it flowing.
Good evening. I'm Russell Schuler. I'm also Chief Executive Youth Education Through Sports, a program that's been around for at least 40 years. Born and raised in the Harlem community. See, it's been a part of the public member since the 80s. decided the last couple of years to become a full board member, to be able to bring some of the historical values, historical perspectives, historical happenings, plans, aspirations, and speak for those that are not represented in the table anymore, but are significant members of our community as it's changing. Have a dire interest in the education of our young people and want to be a part of this particular committee to be able to see how smart I can get with the smart people at the table. So just being a team member and also to keep people in check.
You've been keeping me in check for years, Russell.
You could pass it on. For
Jeremy?
Jeremy, okay.
Yeah, I'll go next. And I just want to thank you for including me on this roundabout. I know that I'm not a committee member, but I appreciate being able to put my 2 cents in. So Jeremy Lockett with the DA's office, particularly work in the community partnership unit. But when it comes to young people and youth and those that have gone through something when they were young, that personally strikes me as something that we need to all come together and advocate for. So it hits home. I've been a lucky person where I've been raised by many people, many walks of life, I've had many experiences. I'm very lucky to be where I am today. And I just want to make sure that every young person has the opportunity to do change. And someone said something earlier and I wrote it down. It was continue the journey for change. And I think that was one of the new members. I forget his name. I think it was Leroy, but just, I want to say thank you for that. But I appreciate being on this monthly call. And I look forward to working with you guys this summer and this fall. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it was nice finally meeting you in person this summer, Jeremy.
I will say David, Natasha, Angela, David, you owe me a playlist.
Yes, I do. You're right about that. I got you.
Yeah, no, a couple people. All right. Thank you. Who's next?
So we have Xavier, who's our vice chair of Community Board 11, so we don't want to leave him out. And Carla, you next, because don't think I forgot you as well. So Xavier.
Good evening. Yeah, thank you, David. And thank you, everyone. It's really good to hear your voices, to see those that are on camera. And I apologize for not being on camera. We're just slowly getting back into our home, but kind of glamping in the living room because they haven't restored the bedrooms from the flood in our apartment. So for those that don't know the term, glamping is glamour camping. So yeah, mattress on the floor. It's like being in college all over again. Youth and education. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I live here in the community. I'm right on 102 between Park and Lex, raising what's going to be the 5th generation here. I have my 2 boys who are 4 and 8. Youth and education matters a lot. Last summer, I got to meet one of our new members, Leroy, and then David's like, hey, by the way, I know that guy. And seeing the interconnectivity and our passion of purpose and why we all strive to do better for the next generation. I think that's a large part of why many of us join and serve. And having many of these meetings, I'm sitting and blessed to have the virtual environment to be a fly on the wall and listen to the feedback and the comments. That's part of the joy of this role, is to, as a community board member and serving the communities, to listen. And that means TA meetings. It means going to schools to listen to the feedback from the students and from the parents and the teachers, and how we can find a commonality. And I think when we focus on what we have in common, we will unite in purpose sooner than focusing on our divisions. And that's what I love about this committee, is that their focus is on the youth. And I'm pleased to be with all of you, and I hope you have a great start to the term, and I look forward to helping in any way I can. I'm always here as a resource. Thank you, David, and everyone.
Thank you, Carly.
Okay, hi, I'm Carly. I'm the Assistant District Manager at CB11, for those of you who don't know me. I'm also the staff liaison to this wonderful committee. Aside from being assigned to the committee, I was really excited to learn that I would be working with the Youth and Education Committee because, youth obviously are our future, and education is, the foundation for, the success of our youth. So we discuss a lot of really important things on this committee. And I'm excited to see what this year brings us. That's all.
As well. Thank you. Thank you, Carly. Thank you all for sharing. You know, sometimes it takes a minute to reflect. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, God, how many people have I been touched before we joined the committee and work together in different capacities? And, you know, we come in and out of community, but, you know, although many of you I've initially touched with Children's Aid in different capacities going back, it's community that's all brought us in this common goal of trying to make things better for others and improve things going forward. So thank you all for sharing. Very quickly, I know we have a few things, but I just thought it would be good to also take a moment that just to update you on some changes that have occurred. So both Jason and John Green have both been serving this committee and the board in serving on the budget priorities and the committee and working with that stuff. And then there was a change this summer that the vice chairs of the committee would take that lead. And I thought it was very important to thank John and Jason for the work that they've done on the budgeting committee. It has evolved. And some of y'all who have been here 2 years to 8 years to 10 years has seen it evolve from where it was really just, we did it and we paid no mind to it at any other parts of the year. It has really now become an integral part in the board and how we advocate or how we look to advocate and how we address the needs in the community. So a lot of this meeting, you know, is going to focus on that. And it's been the work of John and Jason and many others and the other Jason that used to be part of this committee as well. I thank you for your work and your diligence and raising the bar on how we take a task that was a tedious task we did for much of nothing and really turning it in. And Carly's going to really lead us through much of that discussion tonight, and that she's really done a lot of work on the board and the different committees and putting together presentations. So I look forward to that presentation, but I did want to acknowledge Jason and John's work on that committee. Reverend Brown, in her role as the vice chair, will be taking on the majority of that work for the committee. So I don't think you're just going to not be part of that committee anymore. And we always look forward to your support. So I thank you both, and I look forward to Rev taking the leadership in this new role that we have. And we got the best district person, I think, working on that with Carly out of the office of the staff. So I look forward again to that presentation. I'm sure you all will be impressed of the responses that were from the community. So without further ado, we do have our informational updates, right? Is that where we go next? Yes. And we have our Dr. Kristy here. So although there are not too many of us here, we should get through kind of quick tonight. I guess Angela, you know, Eva had put us on to do Harlem Careers, but Eva's no longer on this committee. So Patricia or Angela, which one of y'all give the update for Harlem Careers? I do have Eva giving an update tomorrow to the Scan Harbor Terry Mayor's Task Force Group, but enough said. So Dr. Kristy, welcome. And we have a big event next week, and we had a big event yesterday, right? School's open. So
all right. No, go ahead. I wanted to just provide a quick overview, and I also want to just to thank everyone and thank you, David. Yes, we did have the first day of school yesterday. I can't believe it was just yesterday. And I'm happy that I have visited all of the District 4 schools that are under my supervision. So I do think it's important to note that I do not supervise all of the high schools, but I do have the community schools and one high school, which is Esperanza Prep Academy in 372. So I just want to clarify that because I know sometimes that can be confusing. I know that I want to give some updates because I think these are questions that you hear quite often. And I want to, I have a little, just some information that I would like to share with you. So as a district, one of the things that we did do, so the week of August 30th, I think it's important to know that I visited all of our schools the week of August 30th when the principals came back. just to see what were their questions, their concerns about the capacity, especially the 3 feet capacity. So one of the changes from last year, it used to be 6 feet. Now it's 3 feet, 3 feet for the lunchrooms as well as the classroom. There is no remote option at this time as far as it's in-person learning. However, we do have for what we call medically necessary students. So for medically necessary students, those are, they expanded the list. They can have a home instruction, which is different than homeschooling. Homeschooling is when the parent will assume the responsibility, but home instruction is what is being provided for students that it's medically necessary, whether they're immune compromised, and there's a whole, I'll add the document in the chat box. It's called the Homecoming Health and Safety Guide. It actually outlines all of the safety measures. So we're still doing the health screening. So all schools, and we've had glitches in that, I'll be honest, yesterday and today, it's like the system broke down. So what we do is we have paper just in case. So everybody has to do the health screening. Something else that we have that is the social distancing, the ventilation. In District 4, we do have ventilation. Do you want me to stop now, Natasha, or do you want me to keep going, or go ahead?
No, keep going. No, I had the question for after.
Okay,
I'll wait.
all right. Because I'm okay with people stopping me, and because I don't want you to forget your question. So whatever you prefer is fine. Mask wearing, students do have to wear a mask. You know, we do have some students with, if they do have an special needs, that might be an exception. I will say that these last 2 days, we've been having to leverage restorative practices. Not everybody's used to wearing a mask. So helping especially our young ones. And as you've heard, I'm sure in the media, September 27th, by September 27th, all DOE employees, all employees that enter the school buildings need to have at least 1 dose of the vaccination. There will be a few medical exemptions for that, but overall, everyone will have to be vaccinated. We do have pop-up vaccination sites that are taking place. And then finally, the COVID testing, which we're calling the surveillance testing, is taking place twice a month, 10% of the unvaccinated. And those are some of the health and safety measures. And I'll pause for that. And also in the lunchrooms, not all of the orders, some schools are using temporary devices because there was a delay due to Hurricane Ida, which I can also share as far as safety. All of our schools, the repairs were made, but I will say that we had 9 schools impacted by the flooding and Hurricane Ida. And I do have a PowerPoint that I can also upload so that you can see some of this information that I'm sharing. But the school that had the most damage was the 13 building, which has Central Park East. They had over 5 feet in their cafeteria, but it was open yesterday. All these repairs were made, ventilation, the reports were done to where they were all accessible. So it was Central Park East, 38, 37, 83, Manhattan East, which Leroy knows here, they had some ceiling, the 5th floor music room and the staircase. 375, which is Mosaic Prep. 102 had some ceiling damage due to construction work. And all these repairs have been at least made to where we have ventilation has been provided. Let's see, and then I wanted to, in District 4, it's less now. Last week we were at 31 vacancies. Vacancies are positions that we still have not filled. 28 of those 31 were teachers. And then we had a vacancy for school secretary, social worker, and a guidance counselor. We're still doing outreach. And yeah, those are some of the main things that are trying to just support our schools with reopening and capacity issues, staffing issues. That's the priority right now. And then we also have, just so everyone knows and everyone's invited, on September 25th, from 10 to 12, we have our D4 homecoming at the 007 Community Samuel Stern, which is located on 160 East 120th Street. And I'll put a lot of these documents in the chat box for everyone. And Natasha, do you want to ask your question now?
Yeah, my question is, so the 3-foot rule in the schools, is that like a mandatory thing? Because I've seen like, I'm being honest, I've seen like across the city, even in my school, there's no way that it's like at all times it's gonna be 3 feet. Like, I just want to bring this up out of concern, because my school isn't necessarily in the district, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like we had a COVID case like already, and like half the school got sent home. So
No, I'm so glad that you bring it up. So like in some documents, it says 3 feet whenever possible. And then, I mean, I know, I'm just being honest. So people interpret it differently, but it should be 3 feet. We do have schools that are going beyond, right? And so it does look different in each school. I have some schools where they're like, you know what, we know 3 feet is the minimum, but at lunch, we're still doing 6 feet. So we do have, you know, each school has different limitations, but each school is trying to be a problem solver. And that's why I have to go out to visit schools and help support schools in consistency, because, you know, we do have different interpretations and different understandings. I will say though, that like I was at a school today where the students were, you know, young people, they're social creatures, right? So some of them were congregating, and I heard the AP say, okay, you guys, 3 feet, mask up, you know, like, let's do this. And so we do need reminders, because I think what happens is that sometimes we start out with 3 feet and then we get closer and closer and closer. And so I just want to thank you, Natasha, for lifting that, because it's something that I also have concerns about. And actually I met a parent, I've been talking to parents along the way. You know, one parent was just like, you know, I get it that we're all in this together, but she was, she had your same concern about how she's visiting different schools and she sees different interpretations and different implementation, right? Like how are we reminding? And she's like, I just like hearing that they're trying to remind people versus not addressing it. So we are working on it. And so thank you for lifting that. I see that. I know, Natasha, you have another question. I know, Angela, you have a question.
But I can wait till after Natasha.
Mine is a little bit of like a follow-up question. Yep. So how would that be handled in the schools where there's so many kids? Because we know this is a problem all across the city where there's so many kids. Like the desk, you can't put them 3 feet up. You can't put them 3 feet apart without it like being like you have to cut the class in half. And like,
yep. So that and again, so I can only speak for my schools. I cannot speak for all of the schools, but I will tell you some things that are common across all the schools. Every single principal received a capacity report. This report, I know I shared it with our UFT rep, who is Servia Silva. I sent her the entire district, because in the capacity report, it'll put the minimum number of people and the maximum number of people allowed in each space in every single school. However, like you said, Natasha, each classroom, right, has furniture, it has different things, right? So that's why there's a range, because in some schools, we've actually had to remove furniture, right? And so this is where it's a whole collective effort, because you're right. I mean, I visited every single school, but I'm going to be honest with you, I did not visit every single space today, right? So what I'm counting on is my UFT, that's my teachers union. I'm counting on my school leaders union, for everyone, right? For us to work together. And so when we have concerns, that we problem solve together, right? We've had situations where the principal, and I'm just being really transparent, it really varies school to school, case by case. We've also had issues where, this is a perfect example. This morning I received a phone call and it was from the union. And they said, you know what, I'm going to show you a picture. I don't know why the desks are moved in a different way. And she's like, and when I asked the teacher, she said that the principal didn't tell her to do it this way. She just did it upon herself. So I say that because sometimes people are moving chairs or doing things. Sometimes the principal doesn't know. Sometimes they do know. Sometimes, you know, it really works differently. But what I would do is, if you have any concerns, either talk to your, I don't know the protocol in your school, but definitely let your school leader know that if you have concerns about any of the classrooms. What we've been doing to problem solve is take furniture out, reconfigure desk, and really be problem solvers together. Because if anyone feels uncomfortable or unsafe, or they have concerns, then we want to address it. The other thing that's taken place, and I can give you another example. I have a school where their classrooms were too small. Like you said, impossible to get 30 kids in the room. So you know what we had to do? We had to open classrooms on the 4th floor and hire additional substitute teachers. And I had to get additional funding, kind of calling them like overflow areas. So those are some of the things that I've had to do as well. But it's case by case. I can tell you that most of the schools in District 4 have had to hire additional school aides for lunch. Lunch has been a real concern throughout the district. So almost every school has at least 1 to 2 additional school aides, plus they've extended the hours. Any school that does not have money in their budget, I had so many schools, you know, one school, it's like, I need 12 additional people in order to make this work. But again, if the school leader doesn't say anything, I don't know about it, right? So that's where we have to problem solve together. So I just really want to say thank you so much. And I want you to know that you're absolutely right, but I would definitely lift it to your principal and see what they can do to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, because it can't just be like it was before. You know, it can't, you know, unless that room is just humongous. Another thing some of our schools have done, they're like, the class is too big. We have to use the music room instead of the classroom in order to accommodate everyone. Or we have to use the science lab because it's a big space instead of the ELA room. So we have to be problem solvers together, and every leader is approaching it in a different way. And if you want to message me or let me know which school I can always follow up, even though it's not my, the schools that I supervise, it's easier because I can follow up directly. But if it's another school in the district, I do know the other high school superintendents, and I can also follow up with them as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't like reprimand. I just wanted to bring it up out of concern, because it's like, it's just something that, like, yeah.
It's a concern, and it's a valid concern. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that it's a concern, and it's still a concern, and I'm going to be having to address it. I'm sure, for the rest, for a long time. And it's something that we're dealing with, because I can't say that everyone's doing it the way that I would, we are going to have to problem solve together.
It's still all a little new, right? I mean, even to take a group outside or a class outside to the bathroom, right? Everybody lines up 3 feet, 6 feet. It's 180 feet you need for class, right?
We're having to do things differently, and different leaders need different supports. Students need different supports. Like, I have to tell you, it really looks different. The little ones want to hug each other. They want to, and older ones want to hug each other, so I can't even say it's the little ones all the time either. But we're really working on making sure that we adhere to these guidelines and use restorative practices. And when I talk about restorative practices, I don't want people to be punished. I don't want us to come to a place where it's like we can't support each other, and of course, if it gets to a certain level where we keep trying and there's a difference between compliance and defiance, right? And so that's where we have to really work with people. Great question. So thank you.
Angela?
So, so I'm gonna say that great minds think alike, because that was my question, was about the classroom sizes, and did they fundamentally make them smaller in respect for the spacing? So you pretty much answered that. So I have another question. One, are they going to be, is it the possibility that children 12 years and over will be mandated to be vaccinated to come to school?
So I'm gonna answer this. Everything's always subject to change, but I'm gonna tell you my rationale for why it is not being mandated right now. Number one, we don't have a remote option.
Okay.
Okay, and so and I'm just saying this because that's something that I don't see how we could mandate it with children. It's one thing if you're getting paid as an employee. It's one thing if people are coming into a building, but children 12 and older, we right now we're not mandating, and I don't foresee it happen unless we have another option. You know, and that's the same thing. So when people ask about COVID testing consent, right? Because right now we can't even mandate COVID testing consent because we don't have a remote option. So like last year, and these are like legal things, right? So last year we could tell a family, okay, if you don't COVID test, you go to the remote option, right? There was like another option. But right now we don't have another option,
There's
right?
no handoff.
Yeah, so I don't think it will happen. Things are subject to change. And even right now, we still have a lot to do as a community in District 4 in helping people make the most informed decisions for themselves, and also helping listen to our community and validating their fears and concerns, and creating more opportunities for people to feel that there is a brave space where they're going to be acknowledged. And I say this because mandates make people feel like they're losing control of their power, right? And their rights. And so sometimes it's like with our children, I say this because we all know that when you feel forced into something, it's different than saying, let's work together, right? And helping people versus, you know, mandating things. And especially you have to look at the historical perspective. I'm just about community, and you know, and I also say this about even myself, right? I am the sole provider, the sole breadwinner in my family. And that's a lot of pressure. And I'm not independently wealthy where I can say I'm not going to work or whatever, right? And so, you know, like for some people, it's not even like they have a choice. It's like, I have to get vaccinated or I don't have a job, right? And so everybody's in a different place. And I think that we have to honor where people are, meet them where they are, and continue to support people with making the most informed decisions for them, with them. So, yeah, so I don't think it's going to be mandated. I would be very surprised, you know, if it were, because oh my gosh, Angela, you're good. You know, that just causes me another layer of anxiety to think about what would I have to do? No, it's a great question because and I'm just saying this because you know, people have, you know, when you think about, you know, the history with a lot of different groups of people, Puerto Ricans, Black Americans, and sterilization, you know, those are like valid concerns that's happened to groups of people. There's also a pervasive lack of trust in our society. And, you know, there's also, I mean, I could spend all day talking about the structured systemic racism that exists. And so I think, you know, those fears and that reality is real. And so like, we have to really honor the community. And I just hope that I don't have to be in that. I hope I don't have to be a face of that kind of mandate. That's all I can say.
Okay, that's understood. And you and I've worked together, I believe. Yes. We did vaccine competency and tried to get people to do it. I have one last thing to ask.
Yeah.
Can parent volunteers that are vaccinated and can be fingerprinted be utilized as the support system in the school, which might give other parents a feeling of like, oh, there's parents in there, they're watching. And that way you use them instead of necessarily getting support staff.
Yes, so you know what, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that was a part of the visitor policy. Parent volunteers, interns, yes, as long as they're vaccinated, we get them fingerprinted. Yes, we can, school communities can leverage those resources. And so that's a great idea. And how to, and this is where I went back, and we were a part of the same thing where it was about, we have to inform the community. You know, we have to create spaces where people can share their concerns, share their fears, and also see people that look like them and doctors of color, and that people can like listen to them and share the research and the information so that they can help feel informed.
Maybe we can do something with the partnership to let them know that that's a dynamic that maybe we want to promote with all the other agencies and the families that we work with. And I think that would provide a level of comfort, because if as a parent and not being able to go into the school and see what's going on, to have another parent that is, you know, scheduled and is supposed to be there, that then can come back and say, no, things inside are good. I think that that would help us save anyone's fears that they may have, as little and minute as they may be.
Absolutely. I think those are great ideas. Those are things that we've been talking about. Also thinking about how we can leverage even virtual tours, you know, like letting parents see what it looks like. I've been talking to school leaders as I visited schools, like we have to, right now is about outreach as well. So for all of our children who did not attend yesterday and today, outreach with the parents. We have some parents who are waiting until September 27th, right? So we have some parents who are like, I won't feel better until I know that everyone's vaccinated. Then we have some parents who are like, I had another parent reach out to me today that's like, my daughter turns 12 on October 1st. I want her to, you know, like, so everybody has a different reason, but we have to continue to do outreach and then support our parents. We have some parents who are still afraid, right? They're like, I'm afraid, I don't think it's safe enough. I need to be able to see what it looks like, speaking to what you said. And so how do we create these spaces where they can also see and or, you know, make them feel, you know, whether it's a staggered schedule, a transition schedule to help them feel and ease in. But you're absolutely right. Those are great ideas. And whatever we can do to collaborate. And that's another reason why, you know, it's really powerful and important for me to come to these meetings, because the more we partner as a community, the greater impact we make. And so yes, definitely.
We can just make a quick suggestion and then I'm going to stop. Okay. We could get a selfie stick, a phone, tell the parents it's a parent meeting at this time, and live stream a walk through the school with one person so that they could actually see what the facility looks like on the inside. Because that's another fear. It's like they're telling me I can't come in. Why can't I come in? But if you plan it, they start off, they could even have the parents stand outside. The person goes in that's vaccinated and everything, and let a parent walk through and see what the classes look like. And I think that that would be helpful. And it seems like a simple solution. But then you get into the photographic thing, don't you?
Well, you have to have media consent forms for photos and stuff. But I've also been, but you know what? Most of our schools, I have to be honest, that's a part of most schools' welcome packets, right?
Okay.
I would say the majority, and our school leaders have been really great about which schools have, which students have consent, which do not. How do we even stage a classroom? I mean, the principals that I've talked to so far, they were like, oh, that's a great idea. We need to start doing that and thinking of ways. So again, this is why it's just really important to problem solve together. And those are some ideas that we've been sharing with our school leaders to help alleviate address those concerns and fears. So I just want to thank you, Angela, and thank you for everything you do in the community as well.
You're welcome, and thank you for being as responsive as you are to the needs of the families in this district. So I appreciate it. I wish you was around when my kid was in school.
It could be a big heart set.
David, I can't raise my hand, but I have a question.
Go ahead. Oh, you can't raise your hand?
No, as the host, I can't.
Just wait.
So I wanted to go back to what you had mentioned about the vacancies
Yes.
that you have. I mean, I can't imagine, why those vacancies occurred, but can you talk a little bit about what you think is, like what's holding up the hiring of teachers, what's preventing people from applying, what made people leave? Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. So it's really, so we have some schools that historically have had special ed vacancy issues. So that's one. And we have a large number of co-teaching classrooms. We call them ICT classrooms. And so there were some schools that already had vacancies before the school year even ended. Like last year, we had certified teachers in the classrooms, but not necessarily special ed certified. So that's one area. I'm going to be honest, we had a lot of people this year retire at the last minute and or resign from the DOE at the very last minute for personal reasons. Like I know one school, at several schools, they had, they lived in Buffalo, and because of the pandemic, they're just like, I want to be closer to family. Like I think people have had to reevaluate just life. And so we had a lot of people who were like holding on until they got another job. They're like, okay, I'll come back if I don't have any other options, but I really want to be closer to home. That's one. Those are some of the main ones. A lot of the people, so in the DOE, when you leave the DOE, when you resign, there's actually a requirement for an exit interview, and they have to school leaders have to put in why people leave. A lot of people have been leaving New York City. If they can get jobs closer to home, they're like, I don't want to be commuted. I don't want to be on public transportation. So that there's been a multitude of reasons, but a lot of those vacancies are special ed. Some of these, we did increase the counselors in some of our schools. We do have a single shepherd now in some of our schools. So the guidance counselor position, that I know that some of those vacancies, we do have parent coordinator vacancies. So that's some of the other as well. And that's usually because our parent coordinators are a lot of them are transferring to secretary jobs. They'll get paid more money as a secretary, so they're getting promotions. We have 4 parent coordinators that's taking place with, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to me it's a lot because I love our parent coordinators and they're like an instrumental role in the community. But it really varies from, a lot of people are wanting to work closer to home and or are leaving the DOE. That's been the most common. And then we had some people who were eligible for retirement and they're like, I don't feel comfortable going back to the schools, and they retired. So we had a large, and there was an article, I think in the New York Times, about the Great Resignation or the Great Retirement. Like a lot of people had to make some difficult decisions, and they're like, I'm just ready to leave the Department of Education. So now with filling the vacancies, so every time we've like filled the vacancies, so we were getting like the numbers keep dwindling, right? So every time we would get them smaller, then we'd get these, okay, 2 more teachers retiring, like, and that was at the last minute after the open. So I thought we were in a much better place. We have what we call an open market period that ends the beginning of August. So in the beginning of August, we were in a much better place. And then after that open market closes, you can no longer just take teachers. They have to be released with permission from their principals. And so it's not like we can just say, oh, we're going to get people, because a lot of principals right now are like, I'm not letting anybody go because I'm not going to be able to find other people. So this is a long-winded response, Carly. I could go on, but I hope that answers some of it, just so that you understand why people are leaving and also why we haven't been able to fill all of the positions. Special ed is really hard. There's a shortage in the whole city as well, but we do have 3 schools in particular we have 3 schools, 96, 108, and 72 that have historically have had difficulty making sure that they have enough special ed teachers.
Yeah, thank you. No, it wasn't long-winded. It was
Okay.
thorough. It was thorough.
Okay. But yes, I really, and it's something I've been looking forward to. So one thing that we're going to do, just so that everyone knows, is that we really are partnering with a lot of our higher institutions. We've been reaching out, Hunter College, City College, all of the fellows programs, BPS, it's a bilingual program. We've really been reaching out to everyone saying, how can we get one of the good things is that because of the pandemic last year, we were able to, all of those substitute teachers that we really were like, oh, they're a great fit for our school. We were able to find them positions, hire them, and or leveraging now, trying to also support our paraprofessionals. There's a lot of incentives and programs, strengthening our relationship with New York City men who teach. So, following up with the director of that program to see how we can get more men and also men of color into our schools. And yeah, so that's what, we're on, and we're going to also do a special new teacher development. A lot of our schools did things, but even as a district, and didn't really focus on like teacher retention as well. So yes. But we're in a better place. I mean, our school leaders, what they've done is they have secured a lot of substitute teachers and people that, that in their training and providing support, but the numbers are getting smaller each day. So hopefully the next meeting by October, I will say, it's three vacancies. So hopefully that'll be the updated report.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you have the full attendance, and I know they mentioned this morning on the radio that they said about 80% of the kids were in school, but not all the numbers were in yet. Is that roughly, I mean, that was my kind of estimate that I thought we would be at, as a city.
So I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of our ATS, they transitioned from STARS programming. That's how we did attendance last year to ATS. I know that our data is inaccurate. We had quite a few schools that had ATS issues. They're like backtracking to make sure that they have accurate attendance. But I will say across the board, our attendance was higher than what school leaders thought it was going to be. The only school that we thought it was lower than what we expected was Manhattan East 224. It was a little bit lower than what we expected, but all of the other schools, there was, and also I have to be honest, based on last year to this year. So last year, 63% of the students were remote. So, for all of our school leaders are like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this many. And for our teachers too, I have not seen this many students in person for over 18 months. So it seemed like a lot, but I don't want to give inaccurate information, but we should be close to the city average. I would be surprised if we weren't. We've also noticed across a lot of schools, a lot of kindergartners, parents did not send a lot of, our kindergarten numbers have been lower. Our middle school numbers have been a lot higher.
Yeah, I'm sure parents really get those older ones. I know, just from being in the Summer Rising where we had some kindergarten kids that, lost the year. So they didn't have that year of preparing to go to school. So maybe it's still the anxiety is also with the parents. But no, it is so nice to be in a building full of kids again, as opposed to, a sporadic amount of kids in the building. So I'm very excited as well, Dr. Kristy. As you know, we had a nice celebratory morning and welcoming parents, families, and kids. And, we had like the rope line, the red carpet line, and teachers were on both sides in administration, and parents and kids walked in and went to their respective, classes. We had music playing, welcome back, welcome back, So it was really a fun day. And I think it was kind of spread throughout the whole district. And that's kind of the feeling I went from different schools I visited yesterday. So thank you, Dr. Kristy.
One more question, since David, and you were talking about attendance. So the parents that are apprehensive, that are waiting till the 27th or whatever the date may be, the other lady for October 1st, how are they going to address the possibility of an ACS case for educational neglect.
So we've been very clear with our school leaders, and Misha Ross Porter has been, well, we're not going to criminalize families. What we encourage families to do is we want our families to talk to the schools. It needs to be documented in iLog.
Okay.
It needs to be iLogged, and we need to do outreach and support. But we do not want, you know, like, we do not want people just going straight to ACS. Now, what we do need to do is like help parents, like, because the other thing too is we have to think about the unintended consequences and the fact that, okay, yeah, so we're saying that we're supporting you, your child's at home, but let's say your child is a 7th grader, right? And then what happens when they apply for high school and their high school application says that they were absent for how many days, right? And so that's where it's really ongoing communication with the school and how are we going to support them and transition them and or tell them the options. Like if we know that you're coming September 27th, then we know we're going to keep supporting you. It's right. You know, like we know that this is not an educational neglect situation. It needs to be documented into iLog, which is a system for memorializing the information. However, if we can't get a whole, you know, like, and this is where I'm encouraging parents, please speak to your schools, please be in communication. It's different than if we can't, we have, you know, it's impossible. We're worried about you, right? And we don't know where you are. There's been no communication or, you know, then, but we still don't want to open up ACS cases unless it's a last case resort because we really fear for the safety and well-being of children.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's a concern.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And that has been lifted in several parent forums, the concern. And so that's where, you know, I encourage, and I've been going to schools like asking them, are you making sure that you put it into iLog? Are you making sure that you're memorializing this? Like we are not calling ACS unless it's a last case resort, because if we know the reason, and we know the rationale, it's not that they just aren't sending their child to school. It's a different situation.
Right, and then what intervention should we maybe think about providing?
Well, and that's what we're trying to do. Like, so if, you know, what's the end goal? We don't want them to miss out on a year of school, right? So are we gonna go through, if it's medically necessary, so if your child they've expanded the criteria. So like, let's say your child has sickle cell, right? That's an approved medically necessary. Or if you're worried about someone in the house, there's an medically necessary. It's not supposed to be for everyone, but like, if that's the concern, how do we support the family with that? If it's homeschooling, you know, we need to let parents know that they're also entitled to their special education services. Like there are certain things that we can still support the family with, or is it the parent that's really concerned or the child that's really concerned? How do we do like what you talked about, Angela? How do we give videos of the classroom? What are their fears? How can we alleviate their fears? How can we, you know, create space to where they can feel better or at least try it out? So we're working with their families, but overall as a district, the majority of our students did come. And it's just making sure that we follow up accordingly.
You know, I also want to add that myself and my prevention staff are also trained in the SET training. So that's available to provide short-term intervention for kids that may be coming back experiencing traumas as a result of whatever being with COVID. So we're going to offer that at 72 as well going forward. And I did meet the new council we have at 72. So thank you for that as well. They're definitely going to be needed, all the support services.
Yeah. A lot of support. People are dealing with, you know, it's case by case, but a lot of different forms of trauma and their fears are real. And so like, how do we make everyone feel supported to have a plan of support for each family? So, yeah, but thank you, Angela. And thanks for, if you know, and I just really want to encourage, whether it's me, Nancy, if you hear of things in the community, please, you know, I always say we can't address things if we don't know about it, but once we know about it, we can definitely support our families with, you know, getting the support that they need as much as possible.
Absolutely, and we're working on it with the partnership already.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I know you guys are. I mean, I have to say that all of our partnerships have been tremendous. Our elected officials, whether it's, that's been another concern for me is, the community meals ended on September 10th. So, if you have, and we were feeding about 5,000 families a day in the district. And so, we really need to support each other if families or people in our community need to have access to pantries or, like however we can get them the services. There's also Project Hope. There's so many resources that people just don't always know about the resources available. So how do we, continue to support each other?
All you have to do is send them to the East Harlem Community Partnership. And
they're amazing. And I want to thank you for all of the headsets and the tech support because it made a huge difference with our families. Very appreciative.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Kristy. We continue to find ways to work together. So there was a question in the chat. I thought it was pretty good. So a kid's classroom gets closed down because COVID. What is the plan for that child in terms of learning? Will that class go remote if that's the case where the class is closed?
If it's the whole class, then they go remote.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That question was asked by one of.
Yep. I mean, and the thing is this is where it gets tricky for middle school and high school, because you have students who are vaccinated and or don't show symptoms. And so in those cases, it might look a little bit different. Teachers are in middle school and high school getting paid additional funding for providing office hours and support, because remember in middle school and high school, it's by content area. And so it will look a little bit different in middle school and high school, but in the elementary setting, if it's the whole class, then the teacher's going to have to, the whole class is going to have to be remote.
Yeah, and that's why they're all keeping their tablets or laptops.
And like we know that, but the thing it's going to be a little bit, like we already know that election day is going to be a remote day for students, and it's going to be asynchronous, which means they're just going to have work on the platform. That's an actual day of professional development for the teachers. So the students will be at home that day. And as of today, guidance could always change, but the teachers will be in person having their professional development.
Good to know. We've changed already as per COVID, right? As a result. Thank you again, Dr. Kristy. We do not have Calaris here tonight, and I think she mentioned that she might not be able to make it. I am no longer on the CEC, but I do sit in the meetings and will continue to work on behalf of Community Board 11 with CEC 4 and the district, as well as CEC 5, to address the needs of our youth and students and try to address them as best as we can and offer the supports. So we'll go to Jeremy next, and then we'll go to Youth Action, Youth Build next.
Me?
How are you doing? Yes, Angela, I'm sorry.
I got an email from Gina. So she gave me what she wanted to say.
Okay, so please, Angela, go ahead.
So she said, good evening, Community Board 11. Please be advised of the updates of CEC 5. Ding! School backpack giveaway on Saturday, September 11, 2021. CEC 5 collaboration with the NAACP and the Urban League gave out backpacks with school supplies and will continue to do so. Lieutenant Governor, yay, Brian Benjamin, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, yay, Spectrum, NYCHH Mental Health Team, Fathers Forward, Fill in the Gap, and FES CDC collaboration was amazing. Unfortunately, I'm in transit and technical difficulties interfere and is not allowing me to participate in the meeting. New council members, unfortunately, new council members have missed 3 meetings. Therefore, President Stewart and council will address. Please make this announcement, which I did, and thank you all in advance. Bye.
Angela, thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
Let Ms. Williams know we thank her for her contribution, and we look forward to seeing her next month. We do also need to talk as a committee, online or off, of who would be interested and attending the CEC5 meetings as a representative of this committee, as I cannot attend those meetings because they are on the night of the executive committee for the board. But again, we look to continue to grow our collaborations with our leadership in the other areas in the community. So Jeremy, we will move towards you at this moment. So welcome again, Jeremy.
Thank you, thank you. I'll introduce myself again. Jeremy Lockett from the Manhattan DA's office, the Community Partnership Unit. It's good to be here this evening. Just quick updates about our office. Yes, I'm in my apartment right now on this Zoom call, but my colleagues and everyone is back in office. So about 1,200 of us or so are back and working every day in person, whether that is our downtown location in Manhattan, I'm going to answer in the chat, Harlem, as well as Washington Heights. We are definitely here to answer anything. As usual, our Witness Aid Service Unit is open. I work 3 days in the office in Harlem and then 2 days downtown. We do have a couple things coming up early in October as well as late October. Late October, we are planning another clean slate. We did not have one last year due to COVID and spacing concerns. Clean slate is an opportunity for individuals to clear a civil case, a warrant that may be outstanding, clear that with legal aid, do that without any issue with our office. It's been very successful in the past. I'm sure that some of you have actually been to one of them just to see how they've gone. Let's see, we're trying to do another Art of Healing event. I was at White Park today. I did a walkthrough. I'm very, very excited to say that it's going to be there. I mentioned to Angela that I was going to be on the 25th. I was pushing for the 2nd of October. I believe it's going to be on the 2nd of October, which is a Saturday. We need to make that flyer official. There's a lot of details I'm trying to iron out. And one thing that I know on this call is there are many people that can contribute to that event, whether it's CB11, whether it's the individual partnership, Angela East Harlem partnership. I know that Ricardo from Youth Action, Youth Build is here. I owe you a call, but anyways, there are a bunch of people here that I'd like to see there. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So in the past, we've worked with Thrive Collective, arts-based, music-based, nonprofit, extremely engaging, whether it's basically like breakdancing, graffiti. They host a lot of like participatory art activities for youth. We might have a little little basketball, use half the court there for basketball. And it's an opportunity for people to put out resources. So that's my job right now. I'm trying to gather as many people as we can. And so I could definitely use some help. If y'all want to be there, that'd be great. I think in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, we're going to have the flyer out, and I'll definitely be sending it to you all. So a couple other things. I want
the table or bring kids, what do you want from us for that?
I think representing CB11, whether it's youth and education, or I also attend the public safety and transportation meeting. But I think, knowing that y'all are out there is really important. For example, we met for the first time, very recently. I think many people are coming, lack of a better word, out of this hard times. And so it's just good to be there for a table. We'll supply those tables. But I have a couple of other announcements, so we can kind of get into the nitty gritties of that too. As you probably know, there was a takedown that occurred in Wagner Houses a month ago regarding a gang. It was called Chico. I can't speak on the specifics. We do have a press release. I can put it in this chat. There's been much of news coverage. In my opinion, the news coverage hasn't been the best, but obviously what goes down, it's a hard situation when you have a takedown. It involves many people, and they're young people that their lives are changed. And so it's our responsibility to make sure we can either put them on better paths right now, because we're not going to basically arrest ourselves out of gun violence. If people do want to speak about the takedown, I'm definitely willing to. We can talk about it offline. And we're trying to organize a smaller group to just bring aboard maybe a district attorney to speak about it in a way that I cannot speak on it. So I can put that in my information as well in the chat. But going back to the Art of Healing, I kind of want to open it up for a little bit. If anyone has any questions or any feedback, Yeah, I'm open.
Hello, this is Shavasia
Yes,
Robinson. How you doing?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
I appreciate you. I'm great. Thank you for asking. I would just wanted to let you know that I could be one of the resource tables that can assist you at the
Great.
resource fair. I offer key tax and notary services. I offer tax and notary services. I also offer free services. Well, it's free when I come out and table. It's free to the community. So if anyone have
Yeah,
any questions about the stimulus or taxes,
I think that's a
help.
great idea. And so if you could put your information in the chat box, I'm going to.
Definitely.
For myself, if you want to reach out, but I'll probably follow up with you as well. So thank you.
Okay. And then if you want to give me the clean slate day, I can put them up in
So that's, I know that's gonna be,
I'm with the map team. So
oh, great. Okay, great. I believe it's gonna be in more West Harlem. In the past, we had it at Bethel Gospel, which is an amazing location, but I don't believe it's gonna be there this time. Thank you.
That's it, Jeremy. I'm sorry. Well, again, thank you, Jeremy. We look forward to the day. I'll definitely be out there on table, and I'll drag some youth out there as well. So
it's gonna be fun. I really think so. Yeah. But we definitely have to put some protocols in play, and yeah, we're gonna make sure that this is a safe and COVID friendly and everything event. Definitely want to get the kids out there.
All right, so I'll be there as CB11, but also as Children's Aid. So
great.
Put the tables next to one another and we'll sit together.
Got you.
I drag Natasha too. It's all good. Okay, so we next we have Youth Action, Youth Build. Mr. Lopez, you here? Thank you. You introduced us. So the floor is yours. Thank you again for coming out.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Yes, let me start off by first thanking everybody for having me in such short notice. Very thankful. A lot of great people, a lot of great, I see intent, which is always a great thing to see in a community board. You don't see the same thing in every single community board, so I'm happy that there's great people in here. Well, let me start off by saying that I just started the position for to help develop Youth Build, their outreach for all their programming and their culinary programming also within there. So these programs, I'm happy that we're talking about all these issues, but I'm not, of course, right? But this leads to an opportunity. So Youth Build has programs that are meant for graduates and non-graduates, right? So first I'll start off with the non-graduate program, in which right now we're doing a recruitment in the next month or two. So we really need a lot of these youth that we're talking about that are troubled, re-entry, right? For this opportunity for these programs. So the first program that's for non-graduates, 17 to 24, we have basically they get paid a stipend to go to school. If they don't have their diploma, they've dropped out, or let's say also dealing with high schools in regards to students that have been there for 4 years and only have limited amount of credits, right? In order to get to graduate at a certain time, we help them get the diploma. At the same time, we also do training for them so they can receive certificates, right? Which is an even better thing because that makes them competitive in the job market. And then from there, they go to a paid internship. The great part is that there's 3 avenues, right? Or we could look at 3 different industries that they could get into. The first one is construction. They come out with OSHA 30, flaggers, some building performance institute, so they could get into energy efficiency type programs. We know that New York City has a very, how can I put this? A very aspirational 2050 goal, right? So this will definitely help out towards that, right? We're looking at building management also. There's a lot of unions where there's a lot of people retiring. This will be a great opportunity for them and for these management companies, right, that we have in the community to assist. And also it allows us to talk a little bit about local law compliance within this because we have other resources. But just to keep it within this, the third avenue would be a culinary program in which I'm helping develop that adds more food justice components, that adds more in regards to what the future urban farmers are going to be like, right? So it opens up more avenues than just rather say a local business that needs it that we want to definitely give them an internship for. But we're talking about food systems, right? Which we noticed the issue, especially with COVID coming in regards to our communities getting fed, where does the food come from, and just healthy food in general, which was another reason why COVID hit us so hard, because there's health factors in regards to this, right? So those are the three avenues that I have for non-graduates. And for graduates, 17 to 24, and I'm sorry, and 17 to 24, and for veterans, 25 to 28, right? This is for graduates, and this is for people wanting to get their wireless technician certification and training for this. This is getting ahead of the 5G network that's coming in and that's developing. This would help assist them in getting into that. So we have these 4 pathways, basically. Some are a little bit different than the others, which leads to a couple of things, right, with that I'm asking from the community board. First, of course, I'm looking to build a relationship, a lasting and sustainable relationship with the community board, because I have a radius of the 5 boroughs, but me working with communities, I know the importance of local change and the money staying in the community, right? And also the development is much needed. So I would love to get as many of the people within Harlem and East Harlem as possible, because I'm making my rounds in all the other boroughs, right? The second being, so we have the internship component, which is paid internship. This also allows us to work with bids, with union settlement, I believe, and just other aspects of this to work with local businesses, right, in the area to get them and get them these paid internships, right? But at the same time, we need people first in order to do this to get them internships, right? But the great thing about this would be that you have local businesses, let's say restaurants, that ideally would be getting paid internships by all of us working together. We have construction companies in the community that could also benefit from this. And we have management companies in the community that definitely would be ideal in all of us working together, right, to make sure that we handhold the youth, right, because they're facing so many issues that we didn't have before, right, whether it's Instagram and all these issues, COVID, among everything else that's happening right now, right? There's that aspect of it. And then the third one is that the students are AmeriCorps members, right? That means that there's the opportunity to team up for community beautification projects, right? Now, Youth Build would have the students, right? We will need to team up or look up for grants or see how do we team up in order to get the plants and other tools and everything behind it. But the beautiful part about this is that we can start building now for next year and develop within a project, right? Or a NYCHA housing, develop within the new open streets concept, right? That could be another way to unite culture and education, right? Which I think that's a very important thing also, because I feel that the more educated and the more aware we are of culture and other people's culture, we tend to be less racist. We tend to be more, there seems to be more community cohesion in this, right? So these allow for these type of projects to develop at a low scale beautification project, or we could be talking about some really nice, cool open street type of project where we could include, Jeremy mentioned the artist and all these other components within that, so that way we could have a real community development. And then one last thing that I'm also planning, and this is within Ricardo Lopez and Associates, this is my for-profit that I do, right, that I help with this. I mentioned that I help communities develop equity and resiliency, right? So I'm gonna have these community days the first week of every month within different parts of the city. I'm gonna have one in Harlem, and with Youth Build, we're looking to do one in the 2nd Avenue location. But I believe there was some water damage from the storm that came in. So we might switch it up to more of a day event type of recruitment type thing, you know, community build out every single month. So I would definitely love to work alongside the community board. I already spoke to elected officials, and Jeremy definitely, you know, already spoke to the DAs, right, about having very specific recruitment events, right, within high crime areas, and also being able to talk to judges, right, as so that youth build could be like a second chance for them, making sure that the community is definitely with them. And not only that, this is also a way for the community to appreciate itself from within. So this is basically, these are my asks, these are the programs. And if anybody has any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Thank you, Ricardo. We appreciate, and part of our goal as a committee is to foster a greater relationship with those services that support our youth and young people, young adults in the community, that we know education is not always right for every person at the right time. And sometimes we need other supports that help keep young people challenged, but on a path towards being a positive, you know, productive adult for them. And we all have moments where things just didn't go as we planned and we need to have backups. So we want to thank Youth Action, Youth Build for all the support they've been doing in the community for many years. And we look forward to growing the partnership with you and working together. So thank you again for coming and giving the presentation. Do any members have questions that they want to ask, or the public? Patricia, anybody? So you come on, so I just called you out. So.
No, just getting prepared for Harlem Careers.
Yes, thank you. So Jeremy, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, Ricardo, I will be reaching out to you. And thank you so much for the work y'all are doing. I heard about y'all a long time ago when I didn't live in the city, and now living in the city, y'all do great work. So thank you so much for this. So I'm gonna be in touch, and we'd love you at the event for the Art of Healing. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, we look forward.
Anybody else that I covered this so well, please feel free to ask away.
We had Robert here a few months ago, so he gave a real long depth presentation of all the programs. So you're coming as the follow-up, but also introducing yourself, and then also recruiting, because you have a new cycle that's coming up, right, in a month, you said.
Yes, within this month and next month. So we'll definitely be doing some heavy recruitment. Maybe there's an opportunity right there to do something at the Youth Build offices and team up for recruitment. But I'm only ears for ways that we can collaborate.
Yes, absolutely. You know what I would also suggest is reach back out to the office, so when we have the full board, you get, you know, the 3 minutes in front of the entire board, just again to make an outreach for students or young people. So, you know,
definitely will.
Yeah, very good. And again, we welcome you back, give periodic updates as we have our informational updates. And when you need to come give that full presentation, again, we'll be here waiting. So
thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yolanda, please.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. And I am very interested in looking at various programs that are workforce development design, because we know that when we are engaged productively, we feel that as if we are more valuable, we have a better contribution. So I'm glad to hear what it is that you're doing. In fact, I sent the information off to Brooklyn to a couple of people who may fit the profile for working with you and also being participants in your program. Having said that, can you put your contact information in the chat?
I definitely can. Thank you very much. And yes, thank you for sending information over to Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn also, but I'm from everywhere. I have friends everywhere, and I'm just lucky. You know, I'm an immigrant to this country, so I see everything more of an international type of thing. And then growing up and just seeing how each neighborhood is just so beautiful and diverse, and then it has so much history. It's such a beautiful thing. I actually have a East Williamsburg Scholars Academy. I actually am developing some programming to provide pathways for the students there also, because that's what I do. Like I said, community development. I'm working with the principal on a lab or like on a microsite to team up with a lot of women and minority-owned businesses to inspire and create these job opportunities. Also, where Youth Build comes in, which is great, is like you mentioned, David, right? Things happen in life. Not everybody learns the same way. Issues happen. I would love to set up these relationships with the schools to provide permanent pipelines. So that way, if we're not able to help you for A, B, or C, and we're trying, right? And we're showing you all these things, we have somewhere to show you so you don't just stay with, I can't help you. I just don't like saying or telling anybody that I can't help them. So this would allow them within the school to have programming for people that unfortunately drop out. And if they were to graduate and they want to go towards the tech field, that's also a pipeline for people wanting to get this wireless technician position. So yes, I will go ahead and put my address right now.
Yeah, I would just add that, and I know they talked about the culinary, so we're very interested to see how that works out for young people. It is a very good focus. And, I always try to foster that cooking classes and culinary, they're educational. They teach literacy, they teach fractions, division, right? All these things when you create a recipe. So it's always different ways of learning. And sometimes we have to provide those holistic and innovative approaches to support people where things are broken down in our system. Again, if you don't get it in the second and third grade and you somehow make it to the 9th or 10th, you may not have the skills that you really need to continue. So, the culinary, I think, is a great new innovative way to expand the services as well and create opportunities for young people. And I just want to foster this as well. Many of us have said today, youth and education. Youth is, yes, young people, and that is a part of this committee, but education in its own right is a separate, and it is not just about youth education, it's about adult education as well. And that's something me and even Reverend Brown struggle with. How do we incorporate more of that work into the board as well when we have such limited time sometimes? But, I think this is a perfect example, Youth Action, Youth Build, that, is not just looking at youth, but young people who are adults that need those supports as well. So Mr. Lopez, Ricardo, thank you so much. Rev, did you want to say something? I see you.
Yes, just quickly, I don't want to keep the night long, but the program itself, the model itself is a model that's built upon some great work that was done in the 60s called Opportunity Industrialization Center. And they were in the urban areas designed to create pathways to employment, much like Youth Build and Youth Action. So I look forward to seeing what it is that's being done and how we can be supportive of it. So thank you for your
Yolanda.
presentation.
Youth Build has a great history, and they're almost 50 years now. They're about to be in a couple of years, and they started by retrofitting or by beautifying buildings, right? That was a start in this because everything was burnt down. My goal within Youth Build, and just my personal goal within my also for-profit, is to develop communities, right? I feel that Youth Build now and building these ideal relationships, the next evolution to this is not developing buildings, but developing communities to make sure that we all have green, resilient, and equitable communities. So I'm definitely with you on this, and any other way that I could come in and step in and help, I'll be more than happy to.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So the next informational update is Harlem Careers and their very own committee members that began this wonderful resource opportunity for the community during COVID. So we have Patricia Martin and Angela Donadell. I'm sure both of you will chime in. Any updates?
Yeah, hi, thanks for giving us the opportunity to present once again. Ricardo, we really need to connect with you, especially with the culinary program, because we watch CHOP and we see how a lot of our young people have changed their lives around by doing cooking and all of that good kind of stuff. And our page, Harlem Careers, on both Facebook and Instagram, we're growing, and we feel that we're providing a service to the community, not only to our youth, but also to the family of our young people. Our young people, one way to get them off the street is to give them an opportunity to make money, an opportunity to learn a new trade, an opportunity to grow and become productive members of society. What we need right now is we're looking at working with the colleges, because we need technical savvy people. We're like, I'm not going to say ancient, but we're of a certain age where Instagram looks to me like, I don't know what it is. So we need volunteers to come in and help us with the technology part, to make sure that the jobs that we're receiving on our pages are still being put out there for the community. We definitely want to connect with you, Ricardo, with the youth bill. We'd love to. And if anyone here has a little bit of time to volunteer to work with us on the technology end, we would love to connect with you and bring you on board. And we also want to say, keep posting your jobs, because folks are listening, and our kids are visiting our pages, and they are utilizing the information that we're giving. And thank you. Angela, you have anything to say?
I was going to say that we have to always give a big shout out to Ava Chan, because she was the driving force behind it. Each one of us had an individual skill set, but without Ava, we're a little limited on the technical side. And so we could definitely use some assistance in that way. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody comes and visits the sites.
Thank you both, and thank you, Eva, as well. Again, it just started with 3 people coming together, identifying a need, coming up with an idea and a solution, and then implementation. So again, I really commend the work that you've done. I have Eva coming tomorrow to present again, and we're going to have her come to the consortium, or Angela, you as well, and Patricia as well, to present at the consortium coming up as well. So we look forward to the work that you continue to do, strengthen and provide the opportunities for young people and adults. Thank you both. So we went a little longer than we probably anticipated. I know Carly's got a big piece tonight to do as well. Are we moving towards that, Carly, next? There's so much for the agenda in front of me. So
yes.
Carly's done a lot of wonderful work, as I mentioned earlier. She's put together presentations on each committee around this particular area of what the needs are, and she'll go over some of the things of how we're looking at them, what would be our next steps as well after we review the information from the community. Carly, the floor is yours. I'm going to go get some lights quick.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as David mentioned, I am Carly, and as I mentioned earlier, and I not only work with this committee, but I also work with the District Needs and Budget Committee. I do want to turn my camera off so that the main that you can see the presentation fully and clearly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I just wanted to show my face for those who joined late. So over the summer, Community Board 11 collected feedback for our budget process through the public input survey for community district needs. This presentation is a summary of all the responses that we received. I'll start with a very brief overview of the survey's role in the larger budget process and establish the goals for tonight's presentation and discussion. And then I'll get into the survey results related to the work of this committee, the Youth and Education Committee. Specifically, we're going to look at the Youth Education and Child Welfare Policy section. For newer board members and meeting attendees who might not be familiar with the city's budget process, community boards are given a broad range of responsibilities for advising the city about local budget needs and priorities. Those interested in learning more about our role in the budget process should attend our district needs and budget committee meetings. The public input survey is part of CB11's larger community engagement strategy for our annual statement of district needs and budget requests. This year, we collected survey responses over a time period of 2 months and received a total of 235 responses, which I'm really pleased to share with you. And then, just to set some goals for tonight's presentation, the purpose of it is to review the public input related to the work of this committee. We also hope that you all, the committee members and the attendees, will engage with the input by providing feedback and making recommendations for additions, revisions, or even, if necessary, the removal of content for our statement of district needs. It's also important to note that public input is only one contributing factor in the community board's needs assessment. We'll also take our previous positions and the budget consultations with city agencies into account when drafting the final statement of district needs. Needs and budget requests related to youth education and child welfare encompass the programs and services provided by DOE, the Department of Education, School Construction Authority, Administration of Children's Services, and the Department of Youth and Community Development. Survey participants were asked to select the most important issue relating to youth education and child welfare. The top selected answer was after-school programs. The second most selected answer was juvenile justice and services for at-risk youth. Youth workforce development and summer youth employment came next, followed by educational attainment. You'll see in the later slides you'll see how all of these issues are interconnected. These are some direct quotes from your neighbors highlighting the impact, the need, and the current lack of after-school programs in East Harlem. I'm going to send these slides to you following the meeting, and you can take a look at these in more depth. So now I'm going to go into some key insights about the most important issue as your neighbors see it, the after-school programs. After-school programs are crucial because they also, respondents indicated a need for after-school programs to help youth build skills that can carry them through life and keep them engaged and out of trouble. After-school programs are crucial because they also provide working parents with support in raising their children as they also work to achieve financial success. Respondents who selected this response also emphasized the importance of after-school programs and employment opportunities for older and at-risk youth, which we'll talk a bit more about in the next slides. Generally speaking, respondents overwhelmingly wanted year-round programming rather than just after-school programming for youth, regardless of age category. So even though they selected after-school programs, the responses, the explanations they provided with their selection just generally spoke about the need for programming. I also wanted to highlight the issue of juvenile justice and services for at-risk youth because it was a really close call. I believe one vote set the top two issues apart. So majority of respondents expressed concern for East Harlem's youth, referencing youth crime, gangs, and gun violence. However, respondents also condemned over-policing in schools and the over-incarceration of our youth, otherwise known as the school-to-prison pipeline. Instead, participants would rather the city dedicate resources to prevention services outside of the penal system, like after-school programming and employment opportunities. I said earlier that the top three selected issues were especially connected, and this is why. Participants want programming for all youth, but especially for at-risk youth, because they feel that positive programming is the best way to prevent youth violence and other negative behaviors and holistically solve the unfortunate reality of youth violence in our district. It's easier said than done, though, because the youth who need the most support are historically the hardest to reach. Now I'm going to talk a bit about the needs relating to youth education. You might recall that educational attainment was the fourth most frequently selected answer for the most important issue. Educational attainment refers to the highest level of education that an individual has completed, and respondents emphasize the direct relationship between a higher educational attainment and economic achievement and quality of life. They also expressed concern about the quality of schools in East Harlem, pointing to low performance compared to public schools in other districts and private and charter schools in our district. There were also a lot of responses from parents and teachers about the overcrowding and resulting large class sizes. The large class sizes prevents teachers from giving individualized attention to students. And also, we talked a little bit earlier about the concern relating to COVID and, spreading COVID. The quality of schools also refers to the school facilities themselves. Many of our school buildings are in disrepair to the point of impacting students' learning and health. Additionally, many of our schools are in need of technology upgrades. And then the last thing I wanted to mention for this point is the relationship that some of the respondents drew between the amount of charter schools in the district and the limited resources and funding for upgrades in public schools. We also saw varied responses about the curriculums taught to students. Many emphasize the importance of STEM classes in schools and how they increase the likelihood of future career success. And others mentioned the need for culturally responsive, sustaining education. We passed a resolution, I believe it was last year. Time means nothing to me now about this. And then some responses were more focused on the need for classes in schools that teach foundational skills, such as finance, budgeting, home living, and so forth. And then I don't know if you've noticed, like on the right, I have some quotes specifically from the responses. We have another slide related to youth education. There were a lot of responses about remote learning. Everything that we discussed earlier with Dr. Kristy and with Natasha and Angela, it was clearly represented in our public input. It actually comforts me to know that we're hitting the nail on the head when we raise topics at the committee level, because it just shows that a lot of the public's opinions are represented in the discussions that we have here. So some parents are concerned about returning to in-person learning with COVID-19 cases on the rise. Others express concerns about the impact of remote learning on low-income and unhoused students that might not have access to the technology necessary to succeed academically. Despite the return to in-person learning, respondents emphasize the importance of continuing to improve access to technology, as they not only expect to return to remote and hybrid learning with the rise of cases, but also because access to technology will better set up youth for their futures. Participants also expressed the lack of quality programming for students with special needs, encompassing those with learning disabilities, those who are mobility impaired, and those who are learning English as a second language. We also touched on this earlier. Natasha mentioned it in her introduction, and Dr. Kristy mentioned the lack of special education teachers. So my question to Dr. Kristy was, informed by, my question about staffing was informed by the public input, but also, I was definitely thinking about our budget request that we're going to discuss next month as I asked that question. Let's see, diversity in schools was also raised as an issue. Participants would like to see more diversity across race, ethnicity, and class. And then finally, participants would like schools to be more effective in preparing high school students for college or connecting them with vocational training programs, highlighting that college might not be for everybody, but either way, our schools need to prepare youth for their futures. And now we'll discuss youth and child welfare. By far, the most common response was the need for services for families, especially affordable childcare. Similar to after-school programming, childcare provides working families with much needed support, but often is too expensive for families in our district. Some respondents also mentioned parenting classes that can help set parents and their children up for success. While many youth in East Harlem are in need of additional support, Participants expressed that special attention should be given to youth in the foster care system, highlighting that they're especially vulnerable. Regarding mental health and substance abuse, so mental health of students was a concern raised by respondents. Many factors impact a student's mental health, be it circumstances at home, lack of a home, social isolation from COVID, what have you. Mental health issues alter a person's worldview and decision-making, and maybe they turn to substances like alcohol, marijuana, or other drugs. This is a concern that was raised by people who took the survey. Other respondents also raised the issue of mental health and substance abuse in relation to the conditions on 125th Street and other major corridors. Parents are concerned about the impact of these conditions on their children. And then finally, some respondents mentioned that there aren't really facilities or spaces specifically for youth groups and programs, and that youth would really benefit from having spaces designated for them at hours that they might not normally be open. So I know that that was a lot of information. I am going to come on the camera now. Hi. So I want to invite the committee to provide feedback about these results. I have some questions here to guide a discussion. I do want to know if anything surprised you, if you think that anything was missed, what you think about the most important issue being, at least for, so the public input demonstrated that after school programs was the most important issue, but a lot of the other issues that were raised were tied, they were all tied together. So you don't necessarily have to choose after school programs as the most important issue. Want to hear your thoughts on that. And yeah, I'm going to open it up for discussion now.
Thank you, Carly. That was really wonderful. And I'll just add this: when we have, as Carly mentioned, budget consultations with the different departments, such as DYCD, they'll tell you we're not underserved, that we do have quality programs. So it's an interesting contrast between what the community views and what the actual government agencies who supply these services view as well. So Carly, thank you. That was really great in depth. I like the quotes on the side or the little statements, because I think they bring the stories real, or bring it to reality. Are there questions from other members or comments?
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions or go back to any slides if anybody wants to see, but I do want to be conscious of time. All right, John, I see that your hand is raised.
Thank you. Well, first of all, being, as David said earlier in the meeting, that I'm a member of the Budget and District Needs Committee. And as far as I'm concerned, the thing is that Carly is basically the MVP of the committee for all the work that she's done, first of all. Second of all, the thing is that one thing that struck me was the interest in vocational programming for young people, because the thing is that it's not going to happen for a few years. But the thing is that with the appropriations bill for infrastructure that was passed a few months ago, a lot of money is going to be coming through New York City for infrastructure. And the thing is that if young people are prepared for those jobs when they come, the thing is that would be a real help. So I was really impressed with the results where it said that vocational training is important, because it really is, just for that reason.
We have Rev and Angela as well. Rev and Angela and Ricardo.
Yes, Carly, thank you again for the presentation. And it's just given me a lot of insight as it relates to my assuming the liaison role on that committee. One of the things that, and again, I will be needing the help of Jason and John and you to be brought up to speed. But one of the things that one of the questions or discussion, second item says, do we accept the public input as it is? I think it is really good that we've had this survey, because oftentimes when asked a question, and one was to ask me a question, what I think someone else would think, I would give them my thoughts as opposed to addressing or engaging those people to whom we want to understand what's needed. And the public being on the street, if you will, they have a real close eye on what the problems are, what the needs are. But at the same token, we do have a lot of resources in this community. That's not to say that there aren't other resources that are necessary, but oftentimes the resources in the community are not known and they go underutilized. So with the statement of district needs, I don't know how we build solutions or recommendations to, number one, inform the community, maybe like some of the things that the district attorney office is doing, you know, various community programming that will communicate to the residents, to the community, that there are a number of resources available. But I think we should take the public input as a viable and a valuable measure for us shaping what we should be advocating for.
Thank you so much, Rep. Brown. That's really great insight, and I couldn't agree more. It kind of goes back to what I had reported that some participants expressed, is that, you know, it's not necessarily that we don't have the programs, it's that the people, the youth that we need to participate in those programs are hard to reach historically. So it's more about how do we, one, like connect those youth to those programs, and two, how do we bolster and support the community organizations that are already on the ground doing this work. So I agree, and I certainly agree. Thank you for raising that.
Carly, on another level, I think they did hit it right about after school programs for adolescents, right? They didn't only focus on young kids. And I think we also get caught up in thinking after school, K through 8, right? And that's it. But I think the real disconnect with adolescents is where there are not enough of these programs. And I think, as you just said as well, how do we make sure that who these programs are intended to are the ones that are actually getting the service and getting there? So, you know, I wouldn't say that we go to select something different than after school. Maybe more of the focus is on older or younger adolescents and retrospect to the after school programming and services. And then how do we get kids there, right? How do we identify the kids that get there? So we also have Angela and then Ricardo. Thank you. Angela?
I just wanted to know, Carly, how many people responded to the survey? Did you get a good amount of input?
Yeah, we got 235 responses. I am very excited about it. I hope you're all excited about it. Yeah, 235. My goal was 200. I'm happy that we exceeded it. Last year, we got 77. It was the first time we did the survey. So this is the second time we've done it. And yeah, I didn't really talk too much about this because I know that we're limited on time. So yeah. But thanks for the question, Angela. Is there anything else you wanted to ask, or?
Nope, that's it. When I looked at the numbers that you had there, I was like, this is good percentages. And I know I made sure that I had a few people do it and where my answers were, and it's an alignment of where my thought process was.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so Ricardo has his hand raised.
Yes, Carly, great information. I love seeing this type of information and these assessments, because ideally they inform us in order to create solutions. I wear multiple hats, and one of my hats that I kind of do right now, but I'm kind of focused on something bigger, is I was a energy efficiency contractor for the state, right? So I'm all about assessments and looking at all the issues and then come up with a solution to do something. I'm working on 2 projects that might help with this, right? In regards to assessments that inform the community in order to develop solutions. With the high school, I have a programming that actually is throughout the city called Campaign Connect. This is actually done with the high school and the students, so that way you can start looking at the numbers and at the issues and when they usually happen, which you find that students usually get into trouble, start dropping out sophomore year, right? But things might change based on each school, but this is something that you're able to look into. And in regards to assessments on the community, one thing that helps that I'm doing right now, so LEED, the U.S. Green Building Council, certifies green buildings, right? We see all the new buildings and we see that they're certified green to a certain level. There's a new thing called LEED for Neighborhood Development, in which you're able to certify your neighborhood. Out of certifying, you're able to see the issues through A, B, or C, Dylan, and so many different things that impact that community in order to then come up with a solution that you're able to tie into a lot of the vocational training that's done through Youth Build and other organizations, right? So that way you could actually prepare them for the jobs of the future. So that's all I wanted to say in regards to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anybody else have anything before I talk about the next steps? I'm sorry if you get whiplash from me moving through these slides. Okay, all right. So that concludes the discussion. Thank you all again for engaging. So each committee, as David mentioned, is going to have a presentation. If you've attended any of the other committee meetings, you might see that the presentation improves each time I give it, for each time. So this is the first presentation with the quotes on the side. I'm proud of that improvement. Okay, so as far as next steps go, like I said, each committee is going to review the public input. At the statement of district needs, at the district needs and budget committee, we will be holding one more public hearing before final submission on the community district needs. The hope is to let people, attend or at least view the results, the summary, public input, and kind of get a sense of where we're headed as we formulate our statement of district needs budget requests. And then afterwards, the executive committee is going to review and approve the most pressing needs and most important issue for each policy area. If you recall, there is like one general section that covers like the 3 top issues. It's like a more general question, and then each policy area has the most important issue, and the executive committee is going to finalize that. And then the staff is we're going to draft the statement of district needs. We're going to use the public input here as like a map for how we write the draft statement of district needs. And then the committees next month, just a little preview, you're going to discuss the budget requests. So hopefully this stays with you or you review it prior to the meeting. And then we'll discuss the budget request, and then during our October meeting, the full board is going to vote on the final statement of district needs and budget requests to be submitted by October 29th. And then we have a few months off, and then it all begins again. But yeah, that's it.
Gotten better, and it's evolved, and it's really becoming a professional, document that we need to take, like you said, the next steps and do a lot more advocacy around some of these issues. And, like when we say after school programs, let's make sure that we're clarifying what we're asking for, so the city doesn't come back and say, oh, we got a bunch of them there. And that's what we often get from them when we have the meetings. And sometimes they're underutilized, as I think somebody mentioned earlier. And, it's hard to ask for increases of things when the actual utilization doesn't show there's the great need for it. So those are the challenges. But Carly, this is exceptional. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did want to say that, just going back to where we were. So it feels like a lot of work. We start the new community board session and it's right into district needs and budget requests. And it is, a lot of work at the front end, but the way that we have now formatted how committees have this discussion is we're separating it In September, we have district needs discussion. And then October, we have budget requests. And I feel like the district needs discussion not only needs to inform, like it's not exclusive to budget requests. Like it could also inform the work that we do as a committee, because, you know, this is ultimately like, this is what our community said are our most pressing issues. And, you know, if you want, you can use it as a guide, guide for how we do our work moving forward. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say.
Any other thoughts, members? Chime in. You know, again, it is a lot of work. It has become a big part of each of our meetings. And as Carly said, it's more intense at this point and kind of simmers down. But the simmering down point is when I think we also need to take more action in, you know, following up on some of these things. And we've done good jobs in following up from year to year, things that have been left open or requests. You know, the fast student funding finally came through, right? And we would love to believe we also had a part in that, but there were many people that were fighting that battle. But it's keeping it alive and moving things forward. And I think that's why it's this whole process from when I first joined the board 12 years ago has evolved and is so much more integral in the work that we do than a task that we did. So Carly, thank you for the time you put into this, because it's a lot. So
thank you.
We will continue this discussion further. We will do the next steps in planning, what the budget requests are and what do we want to go after. And again, maybe more is it focusing on those adolescents and work study programs so more kids get to participate. You know, I think we had 3,000 slots for SYP in the summer, but we'll have like 300 for the Work, Learn, and Grow, which is the winter part of like the SYP that gives youth working opportunities. And they only get paid for 10 hours a week as opposed to 25. So, you know, I think those are strong areas to advocate for us going forward. So I want to circle back to our next agenda item on the old business. And I do want to apologize. I had all these grandiose visions of bringing some of us together during the summer. And unfortunately, it just did not happen. And again, I want to apologize to the committee for that. I know some of you, I even had Natasha work on doing a calendar of meetings and we never sent it out because we got caught up with other things. Natasha did work with me this summer and was very supportive in our co-facilitating a youth group. And that's where I want to really begin and end. What I mean by that is where I want to begin our work as a committee, and then when I'm no longer a part of the board, is that we have more of a youth representation and advisement to the board, and to make sure that young people are actively involved in the things that go on in their community. That doesn't necessarily always have to be just centered around the community board. One of the things we didn't mention earlier, but Dr. Kristy and I are looking to work with getting a youth group within the district to work on issues and concerns as well. So we're going to look to how we kind of combine some of this work and really build an avenue and platform for our youth to have access, to make sure that they are involved and that they have a voice in their community of what we adults decide is best for them. So I don't want to get too much into it. Again, I did ask some members if they were interested. Some did express interest, and I would like to go forward with that as we continue. We do need to get through this budget needs process in October, but I would say in November and going forward, I would like this to be a focus of the work that we do. And I thank you for all your support. And I need all of y'all to help me make sure that I keep after this and work towards, you know, fruition with this. So, any thoughts, any responses? I know it's a long meeting. We did not intend to go over 2 hours, but we did.
David?
Right? Yes, Angela.
You didn't mention what we did for youth advocacy.
Why don't you share that, Angela?
Yes, you were doing so. So David with Children's Aid Society, Natasha was there. with David. We had a pediatrician from Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Cappy Collins, who coordinates a summer program called Cyclopedia at the Little Sisters of Assumption. And we did a work, and Shania, I can't think of her last name. I can't remember Shania's last name, but she works at the New York Academy of Medicine. We did an excellent presentation on youth advocacy and what that can look like. And we had about 50 students there. And we did this in my community room. I live in Lakeview Houses, and they just fixed up our community room really nice. We have a huge screen TV, and the students participated. They asked questions. David presented, and Shania, I can't believe I can't remember her name. But it turned out really well. Natasha, what did you think of it as a youth? Because I thought it went well.
Yeah, I think it went pretty well, considering like they were just, like, the kids who I was working with, they were still talking about it after.
Okay.
And that was overtime for them. Like, they chose to be there, and they said that they didn't regret it at all. They actually liked being there. Because I actually spoke to them after, and I said, how did you guys enjoy that? And then they said that they liked it. So
I thought the presentation was really like upbeat to the era, the word, the youth, everything that they did was positive, and it showed. She even had a video of young people that got change in their school because they came together, because the parent boards weren't addressing it, and they did something to advocate and get the changes that they needed to see in their school. So the possibility is there, because if those young people were talking about it after we finish, that's the direction that we need to try to move in.
yeah, and they were asking questions and stuff. It wasn't like it was like crickets in the room. It was they were actually asking questions, and they were engaged.
It sparked conversation that went beyond the event. And again, that's always good when we can stimulate young people to follow up on their own. And, you know, it was like a circle discussion, even the next day when we went back in the room. And but I think what we also found is that kids are looking to be back together with kids, and socialization is such an important part of learning and development for young people, you know. And so I you know, Andrew, I think we should look to do more, as we said, work like that, and exposing our young people to the many different things that are available for them and out there. So, and again, this is why, you know, we want to get more youth engaged in the process. We also want them to advise us on those issues. And then, you know, and working collaboratively together to just address those needs and provide solutions and implement programming or entities. So that's pretty much my spiel. Any other thoughts, any other ideas on the new business, any ideas or thoughts? Again, we look forward to a new year. And we're here. We're here.
Something that I was thinking is maybe in collaboration with Dr. De La Cruz, if we could maybe like go into the schools, like, or maybe the one high school that she manages, and like maybe talk. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure that has been, like, you already thought about that, but.
No, but those are some of the things that we've talked about but haven't done towards implementation yet. So, you know, maybe that's, again, something I'll raise up when we have our meeting on Friday with Dr. De La Cruz, the CEC members, and follow up with that. We talked, actually, you know, Rev Brown and Carly and I, we get together and we kind of talked about how we could kind of foster that relationship further, to, not to do it all alone, but to support each other in developing that. So.
Yeah.
Yes, Yolanda, I'm sorry.
No, I'm shaking my head in agreement. And then Natasha, that's an excellent idea, because as we can see around this table, that is all about collaboration, just like the partnerships that Angela refers to from time to time. It's all about collaboration. So we may have an idea to do something, but those who are closer to the base of what we want to do, they can be the one that have the greater ownership. We'll support them, and we will also have what it is that we want to have. So that was an excellent idea. Thank you so much for bringing that up again.
And I'll just kind of end with this, and Xavier is on here and he reached out this week. We were planning a youth symposium, and through whatever, again, it's just one of those things because where everybody's at, we were not able to, but that is something that's on the radar that we want to look to project to put forward. And Xavier, myself, and Elsie to get together and at least begin to brainstorm again. But, we would want to open it up to any other members that would be interested in wanting to work on that. Xavier, yes, you want to add something, please?
Thank you for bringing that up, David. I think it's been very difficult, and having checked in with some of our community partners who've also transitioned their roles in the community and their employment, and speaking with some of the youth as well who are still very interested. It's been challenging for many of us in the pandemic that many of the meeting sites, for example, were used as cooling centers over the summer and repurposed, and rightfully so. But this is something that we're still very much focused on, and we appreciate everyone's patience, and anyone who wants to step up and has any little bit of resource they can throw at it. We look forward to working together. It takes many hands to make this happen. And I think out of during the onboarding, the brief one with some of our newer members, we talked about the elements of 101 between Lexington Park and how that one block, both long, mid, and short term, can have an impact in the community. Our youth, and doing something of this level is something that can have an immediate impact versus recreating a playground, which can take 10 years, or Alaska Rink, which will be the new Harlem Mir Center, which will come around in 2024. That's faster than most projects, but this is something we can, if we work together, make happen sooner. And so thank you, David, for your continued support, everyone on this committee, and Elsie, and please get stuck in if you can do.
Thank you. Any last thoughts? Again, I look forward to working with everyone. I will do the minutes. Whoever's after me in the alphabetical order will do the minutes in October. If you do not show up in October, we will get you in November. Again, it's a shared responsibility. It's not always easy to remember everything that we do say, but Carly does provide the tape. I do want to say I have mixed feelings about being back on Zoom. I think there's such positive things that develop, but I was looking forward to being with people in space again. Some of you, I will be in space in other forums and just continue to work together for the betterment of our community, for the people, for the youth, and have a great week, everybody. Have a great week.
I have to do the roll call before we log off.
Oh, I wasn't going out yet until you, I always wait for you to throw us out, but that's okay. Go ahead, Carly.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna call last names, it's easier. Andino? It's like a present.
Present.
Okay. Brown?
Present.
Donadell?
I am present.
Giordano?
Present.
Green?
Here.
You're
Oh,
up for
you
minutes.
do this next month.
Harvey? Heredia? Martin?
Present.
Robinson Teague? Oh, thought they were on. Rodriguez?
Present.
Thank you. Scott?
Present.
Schuler?
Present.
And Wu?
Present.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carly. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
You also
Night.